Oh yeah. It's funny when you garden, the rain is just like time. It's like the world decided to give me back time. I don't have to water my plants at all. Okay, so this year is going to be a bit of a different year. Because I'm so busy with the pond and just other large-scale projects, the deck, getting trench work done, Wildflower Hill, all those things. Because I've been more busy with that, my vegetable harvest and planting is fallen behind. I'm also working full-time from home. So this year I've kind of resigned myself to basically just planting potatoes, tomatoes, a couple peppers, and then squash. So different kind of winter squash, summer squash. I'm not really going to do the whole lettuce thing. I have a couple lettuces volunteering over here in my son's garden. See, so here we've got some carrots and lettuce, and you can see how I plant kind of random, kind of like nature does. It's because I basically just throw the seeds and then scratch the surface of the wood chips. I don't disturb the soil at all, so this is like completely no-till planting. And you're not going to get as good of a sowing rate. It's not going to be as pretty, but it's going to build soil and fertility for longer, and it's like way faster and easier. So if you're not a market gardener, it doesn't really matter if the lettuces are growing in rows, if they're growing a little chaotically. So other than just throwing some random seed on the ground, I'm not going to really devote myself to a whole, controlled veggie style garden. I've got some kale coming in here, and we've got tons of garlic. But for the most part, this bed is going to transition this year into a pumpkin bed. It is very heavy manure and shredded leaves and compost. It's in its second year. So it still has a ton of fertility, so I'm going to do a season of pumpkins. It's very, very easy. Kind of seed it and then walk away from it and come back in October and just basically come and get your cash. So we're going to do that with this bed here. Then we've got the hugelkultur mound. Grasses have creeped in. I'm not really going to manage this. I don't have time to manage it. It's going to go a little feral. So we planted in some pumpkins in here as well because they'll really outcompete other things. There's some daikon radish in there from the first time that I sowed them. They're coming up wild. But for the most part, this hugelkultur bed is going to go largely unmanaged again. So we'll just stick it to pumpkins this year. So here's the lawn finished. Again, this is not your normal lawn. This is a polyculture wildflower style lawn. So it does have grass in it, like any grassland. But the idea is I wanted to replace what used to be a monoculture of grass that had weeds creeping in and kind of establish themselves. Like Creeping Charlie is kind of throughout the lawn. You can see dandelions in there that I leave. I don't spray anything. So dandelions are food for the bees, even Creeping Charlie's food for the bees. And when I mow, it actually looks fantastic. Like, you can't tell me that that doesn't just look like a normal lawn. However, I let it flower, and then I mow it if I have anyone coming over or anything, and I can let it go a little more feral otherwise. But the lawn has been sowed to clover, so it's a nitrogen fixer that gets the system in balance. And once it's going, a healthy polyculture lawn that's allowed to flower and have things other than grass in it will actually be a very healthy green lawn, especially in times of drought. But I'm loving this rain because I just sowed it, and especially seedlings, they really have to stay constant moist. So you can see I have the hose out. I have been watering it, and I've used my whole barrel of comfrey tea like 3 times over. So I kind of used it, diluted it, filled it back up, used it, and just kind of, watered everywhere to give it a little bit of a nutrient boost. This here's kind of interesting. Remember a couple days ago I did a video and I showed these zucchinis died. One of them decided it's not quite given up yet. Okay, and this is my bramble hill. This is where the deer come in. I planted wild raspberries everywhere. Not wild raspberries. I planted raspberries like a wild person, just throw them everywhere. Different cuttings. And the artesian well overflow is over here, and it runs down this way to the wetland guild, which I guess I'll just peek over and show you. And I've run a pipe underneath. So there's the wetland gill down there that some people might recognize. So normally it just goes down a trench and comes out there. But I've run a O pipe this way now, so I can just pop it on the outlet and then run it into a swale here that I just did, a very, very shallow swale. Dug this out, and this is the hazelnuts and raspberries. And down at the far end is a little holding pond. Okay, so I took some scrap liner from the pond build that I asked them not to throw away because I can repurpose it. And I built at the end of this swale just a tiny little 2-foot pond. So when I swap the artesian well over to here, this will fill up, and then I can drop a solar powered pump into this and then refill my pond with water that's run through vegetation to filter it out, take out all the nasty stuff, because I want fairly clean water going into the pond. And then this way I can also refill the pond in basically an energy-free way, which is really important to me, that I do as much of this in an energy-free, solar-powered way as possible. So this is kind of nice. It's a way for me to fill the pond without having to use any electricity at all, besides the electricity to produce the solar panel and that sump pump. So you can also see the water's really clearing up. It's looking quite nice already, and it's going to get better as everything settles out and the plants get bigger. So I think we can also probably say that the elderberry's kind of living in its own little puddle. So it basically is living in this, but a big one. And it's been, I don't even know, how long has it been? 2 weeks, 3 weeks? No yellowing. The curled over leaves on most plants, that's a sign actually of too little water. So they basically curl up to reduce transpiration losses. So if you see curled up leaves on most plants, it's a sign that you should water them again, because the plant's trying to regulate how much water it loses to transpiration. However, on elderberries, that's just the shape of their leaves, and I'll go show you a healthy elderberry. Okay, so this is a pretty banging elderberry right here. I've taken a bunch of cuttings from it, so it's actually quite a bit smaller than it normally is, but you can see this is very healthy soil, 4-year-old, 5-year-old almost, food forest soil. And you can see the leaves have this curling going on. So elderberries tend to have that even if they're happy. And you can see putting on some berries. But this is great soil. Like, look at let me maybe right in here. Like, look how nice this soil is. Oh, I got some roots here, probably from that elderberry. I don't want to dig too much. I don't want to disturb it. Just take my word for it. It's great soil. Like, look, there's roots everywhere. So I'm not going to damage it. Pretty nice soil though in here, and it's got that, that leaf shape. So that one down in the pond is actually doing pretty well. It's pretty happy. Here's the comfrey I cut a while ago. You can see how much it's rebounding already. Ignore this. It's just got thrown on there. But you can see it's already popping up and rebounding. We've got strawberries starting to flower. Let's go look at the strawberry patch. I bet you it's all flowered. Yeah, so we are getting pretty close to strawberry season here, which is one of the best times of the year, the first strawberry season. They'll kind of go until it gets too hot, and then they'll chill for a bit, and then they'll pop off and go again later on in the fall. So they're kind of a nice crop. You get 2 of them. And I don't know how I'm getting dog strangling vine showing up here. It's never been here. It must just been a windblown seed. So I'm gonna make sure we don't damage the strawberries. We're just gonna basically pinch it off. See, so we don't damage the root, we just pinch it off. And because it hasn't gone to flower yet, I'm not worried about seeds. I can drop it down and I'll just prop up the stem just in case it wants to root through the stem. I don't think they do, but this is just such an aggressive spreader that I'll keep the stem off the ground just in case. So one more thing, as soon as the peach leaves pop out for the season, it's good to check them for signs of peach leaf curl and nab it as soon as you can. So you can see we get nailed with peach leaf curl here. It basically just looks like a blistered leaf. And it's a fungal disease. Why can't I focus? It's a fungal disease that will spread, and if water doesn't get cleared off the leaves quickly after a rainstorm, because say the tree is under pruned and it's a giant congested mess, then the water will feed the fungus on the leaf and then it'll spread to the whole tree and you'll lose all your trees. It won't damage the fruit, but it's going to limit the photosynthesis the tree can do, which will eventually kind of hamper your ability to produce fruit. So in the early season, it's good to pick off all the leaves that have peach leaf curl and get ahead of it before it becomes a problem, and then you don't have to spray. So this is something that I have to do every year to my trees, and every year I pull off the first bunch. I open up airflow so that after a rainstorm, the water on the leaves gets evaporated back off very quickly. It kind of sucks to have to pull the leaves, but it's always good to just pull and get it all off. And then you do not chop and drop these leaves. You take them away, far away, and you remove them from your site because you don't want the fungal spores to be on the ground getting splashed back up by the rains. So not too bad, maybe 20-ish leaves. And I'll just check it back every couple days and pull and get ahead of it. So people say to me and ask sometimes, what do I do for peach leaf curl? What do I spray? All that kind of stuff. I don't spray anything. I don't spray anything ever for any reason. I don't spray at all. So peach leaf curl, I just manually remove them. I get if you got 1,000 fruit trees, like especially if it's like 1,000 peach trees, you're not going to go around and manually pull off every leaf. But maybe ask somebody who's got that many trees what they spray on it. But to me, I'd rather nothing be sprayed on my trees. I pop out there. I'm just walking around anyways. Pull a couple leaves off, take them out, and that's it. I don't have peach leaf curl for the rest of the season. So it's important you get ahead of it. You nail it the second the leaves come out and you're seeing any signs, and then it won't spore, it won't spread, and that's it. You basically removed it all. I'm hoping systematically doing that constantly that the job will get less intrusive and time consuming as time goes on. So here's me hoping to that, but I don't know. To me, it's just 1,000 times better than spraying chemicals on my food that I'm going to eat and feed to my kids. So I don't know. Give it a try, see if it's manageable. If you only have a couple trees, I don't think it's a big deal to just go out and pop some leaves off. So peach leaf curl is also, I think it's cyclical. It's relatively cyclical. It's kind of like tent caterpillars. They go through like a 3-year cycle where there's none, there's a bit, and then there's a million of them. I think peach leaf curl is similar. I think my father-in-law, he had a ton of them on his tree, and we pulled off basically every single leaf one year. And then the next season, he had none. I don't know. We'll find out if he has any this season. It'll be interesting, actually, if he has any or not. But for me, I've just pulled them off early, and I've been good so far 5 years in a row. I'm seeing more now than I did last year, like in the same time. So I don't know if it's because I've kind of missed the leaf out by about a week or so. There's been leaves for roughly a week. So maybe I'm a little late and slow on that, but hopefully that'll do the job for this week or for this year. So we'll see. I'll follow up for sure though, and I'll show you guys and tell you guys an update on the peach leaf curl. So that's it. Thanks for watching. Just a general update video. I'll do more focused videos in the future. It's just been a scramble to get everything going. So an easy walk around video where I just point at stuff and talk about it. It's kind of easy for me. And then it also gives you a, a smattering of stuff that's going on my property to watch over the season, and you'll kind of remember some videos and history, and hopefully you'll find that enjoyable. But I'll do the deep dive topic based videos more probably in maybe a month or so as things kind of settle out over here. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.